Hi, Year 5. This is Teacher Fatin. Today we're going to start with your first topic of the year, which is classifying living things, the groups of living things. So this is in Year 5, this is Year 5 Science, and in your textbook, this is page 2 and 3. So let's start with our lesson objective. Your lesson objective today is to classify living things into groups based on their characteristics. So now let's go to the steps to success. Steps to success is to first learn the definition of classification. Then we learn what the groups of living things are. And then we learn the characteristics of the groups of living things. Okay, now let's first learn what the groups of living things are. So first, let's learn about the some early information first. So there are many living things in the world. So dalam dunia ini banyak benda-benda yang hidup. So for example, we have fish, we have a dragonfly, we have tiger, we also have plants. So scientists, so orang-orang yang mengkaji about living things ini, classify these organisms into 4 groups. So organisms, if you remember this one, it means organisms mean living things, if you remember from last time. Okay, so the 4 groups that we need to know are microorganisms, fungi, plants, and animals. So these are the 4 groups of living things. So if kami perlu macam semua benda-benda hidup di dunia ini, mesti kami simpan dalam kumpulan. Biasanya saintis, orang yang mengkaji sains ini, simpan dalam 4 kumpulan ini. Microorganism, fungi, plants, and animals. Okay, so what is classification ini kan? Teacher Garak teacher punya katuna di dulu. So classification is the grouping of things based on the same characteristics. Artinya, classification ini bagi kumpulan pasal benda-benda dalam kumpulan itu ada yang samanya. So for example, in your class, we can classify you by boys or girls. So boys in the class wear songkok. Girls in the class wear tudong. So artinya kami boleh classify by who you are atau what you wear. Catat. Okay, let's move on. Pindah ke bawah lagi. Okay. Microorganisms. Apa microorganisms ini? Microorganisms are very small living things. Benda hidup yang very small, yang sangat-sangat kecil. They are so small, we cannot see them using our eyes. So, guna mata kami ini, mata teacher ini pun yang di sini ini, kami indah boleh nampak microorganisms. We cannot see microorganisms. Okay. So this is an example of a microorganism. This is also an example of a microorganism. This is also an example of a microorganism. And these are also examples of microorganisms. You're probably familiar with this one. This one. If kamu tahu, it looks like the virus. So, virus is actually a microorganism. Benda-benda yang boleh menyakiti kamu. Virus juga, bacteria juga. Okay, let's move on. Plants. So, tadi teacher going to explain about plants dulu. So, most plants have green leaves. Banyak tumbuh-tumbuhan ada daun hijau. The leaves are green because of chlorophyll. So daun-daun ini sebenarnya hijau pasal dalam daun itu ada benda chemical kah namanya chlorophyll. Ya tak sebabnya ya hijau tu. Nada chlorophyll indat ya hijau. If kamu tahu ada kadang-kadang daun ini warnanya purple atau warna kuning. Sebab nada chlorophyll tu. Plants can photosynthesize. If you remember apa arti photosynthesize ini? Photosynthesize ini artinya dapat buat makanan sendiri. Semua plants atau kebanyakan plants boleh buat makanan sendiri. Okay, so for example, this is a plant. This is also a plant. This is also a plant. And this is also a plant. So if you can see, ani ada daun, ani pun ada daun, ani pun ada daun, ani pun ada daun. So they're all plants because you can see they all have leaves. Okay, next one. Fungi. Fungi look like plants. So just because ya sama usulnya macam plants doesn't mean ya semestinya plants. Ya boleh fungi. Bezanya adalah fungi do not have leaves. So daun macam mana? Fungi nada ni. Fungi nada leaves. And do not have chlorophyll. Nada chlorophyll. Fungi jarang usulnya warna hijau. Ada maybe one of them tapi bukannya pasal daun. Fungi feed on dead matter. So fungi ani makan benda-benda yang tidak hidup. For example, ani mushroom. Mushroom itu makan tanah di bawah. Tanah di bawah itu ada banyak-banyak benda yang indah hidup. Makannya lah tu. Ani some mushrooms on a tree log. Tree log itu ya makan lah the tree. Ani a toadstool ya makan from the ground juga. It eats from the ground. This one eats from the tree. And then last one, we have another kind of fungi. This one doesn't really look like a plant. Adalah sikit-sikit maybe macam cabbage usulnya. Cabbage warna kuning. Also eats from a tree. Okay, next. Animals. Most animals can move from place to place. So animals, if you think of any of them like cats or dogs or fish, ya boleh bergerak ke sini ke sana. That's what it means, move from place to place. Bergerak dari satu tempat ke satu tempat yang lain. Animals eat natural things. So, binatang ini biasanya makan apa-apa yang semula jadi. So, for example, some animals eat other animals. Itu natural. Some animals eat microorganisms. Itu pun natural. Some animals eat plants. Itu pun natural. So, that's what that means. So, here we can see a lot of animals. Ada hamster, rabbit, cat, bird, frogs, dog, fish. Ada snake juga. If you can think of more animals, you can add to the list. So, for example, teacher boleh fikirkan lion, zebra, apa lagi? You think of more. Okay, so those were the 4 groups of living things. If you need to refresh, you can read your textbook dulu before you do your activity. Please complete activity 1 in your workbook. Okay, see you later, year 5.